Well, hi folks, just give you a little look round the little polytunnel slash greenhouse, show you how things are going. If you can hear some white noise, it's because I'm right next to a river and it's been raining, so the river's up a bit. So anyway, I'll just start off with the leeks. Looking pretty good now. Probably, I would say another week or two max before I can plant those out. So they have picked up since it started to warm up a bit, so looking pretty good. All looking in good nick. Getting thick enough now to plant. They're probably, some of them are getting on to be about a foot tall now, so they should be good to go. I think I've got about 80 growing in there, so plenty to go at. These are some of the sunflowers I've sowed. They got a little bit leggy because I left them in the warmth a bit too long on the windowsill at home, so but they'll be all right. They're not the giant ones this year. I tried to save some of my, well, I did save some of my seed from the last year's tall ones and big-headed ones, but unfortunately none of them germinated, so I've had to buy some others. And these are a different one. These are just a sort of small-headed one, but they're a bright red and orange and all sorts of different fancy colours, so it should be quite interesting. So there won't be any giants, but should be some nice splashes of colour about. That's my second lot of lettuce in now. Another 4 different varieties again. The Can, Little Gem, Multigreen and the Record again. Should be starting to take some outside in about, I would say, a couple of weeks, because they have started to grow a little bit, as like I said, because it has been slightly warming up. So this is this year's selection of chilies and just sweet peppers really. I set them off way too late, I think, but they should be all right later on in the season. I managed to just find some old seeds, so these are just your bog standard, like Californian Wonder type ones. I grew them under the lights for about a month, so it did bring them on quite quickly, even though I did sow them a bit late. And I found some old chili seeds. These are the banana chilies, so they're not particularly hot. And then I found some other ones that I've not grown for years, and these are the little snacky ones. Apparently they only grow little peppers about 2 or 3 inches long, but you get quite a lot of them, so should be quite interesting to see. So I've got about half a dozen peppers and chilies and the like. There's my second lot of spring onions again. Clusters of about 6 to 8, or even 10 in some. So they should be ready to go out soon. I should be harvesting some of those if they get a wriggle on. And I've sowed a few courgettes. These are called Defender. I'm getting a bit covered up by the potatoes now, but they're ready to go out. I've just dug a brand new raised bed in the polytunnel. I'll go up and show you that, and show you how I dug it, because that was an absolute nightmare to dig. So I'll plant those out in there. Obviously there's a few spare beans because I planted those out, and then we've got a few cucumbers coming. Have a look. Again, a little bit behind, but we'll see. Might plant one of those in the greenhouse, sorry, in the polytunnel, in the soil, and another one in a pot in here, and see which fares best. Got a few spare tomato plants. I don't know what I'm going to do with those. Getting a bit leggy now, even though they're the dwarf sort of hanging basket ones. So on to the tomatoes. I've planted all my tomatoes out now. As you can see, they've already got flowers on. And if you look at how dwarf they are, they've actually stopped growing there about 6 inches from the base. And all they do now is they just keep sending out loads of side shoots and just bushing out, and then they just trail all over the pot. That one's even bushier and shorter, as you can see, but they've all got flowers on. That one's a bit leggier. So I've got 6 of those anyway. I've just planted them in some 7.5 litre pots. I've drilled some holes in, put a few ropes on, and just hung them off the frame in here. So there should be plenty of tomatoes soon. Like I said, loads of flowers on. Whether there's enough energy in the plant to produce tomatoes yet, I don't know, but they just tend to look after themselves. And then onto the potatoes. Talking about things that look after themselves, they're absolutely huge. They're about 3 feet tall now, the plants. No signs of any flowers as of yet. So as soon as they start to flower, I'll give them a week or 2, and then we should have some potatoes on underneath. If the stuff underneath is as good as the foliage on the top, because it looks really, really healthy, considering it's only in a 10 litre pot, this one. And I did sow those quite early, so we'll see how they get on. So anyway, that's about it in the polytunnel. Another potato there. Weather's a bit grim again, it's a bit cold, but things are still ticking over. So I'll nip up to Polytunnel, up at the plot. I won't give you a tour around there because nothing's really changed in the last week, but I'll just show you this new raised bed I've dug, and I did a video of it digging it out and the blooming files got all corrupted again, so I've took some pictures. So I'll just do a bit of a waffle on just to show you about double digging and all that sort of stuff that I had to do. So we'll get up there and then we'll get on with that. Well, hi folks, here's my new raised bed. Can't believe how hard it was to dig. If you see, it's just 6 inches off the floor, but if I plunge my stick in, you'll see how deep it goes. There you go. I'll just show you how deep the soil is now. So it's about 18 to 20 inches deep now. I'll just try and explain how I did it. Like I said, it was a real chore, but I didn't take a video, so I'll have to do it by the aid of the old technology of photographs. So the first thing I had to do was to obviously cut the hole out of the thing, and then I just removed all the topsoil and I bucketed that up because I only had about 5 inches topsoil, because at this end of the polytunnel, when I actually levelled the plot out years ago, I actually had to lower this end by about 6 inches, hence the reason that there was very little topsoil. So that's why you got to do this double digging really. And the next thing to do was to get into the clay. Then I was into the clay stony layer, and it was a matter of just breaking that up as deeply as I could, as well as I could, into little chunks and things like that, taking those some massive boulders in, as you can probably see in the photos. So it was just a matter of taking the boulders out, smashing the clay up as fine as I could, and then the next thing I did was to get a load of sharp sand. I put about 3 inches of sharp sand on, mix that in, and then I put about 150 litres of my own homemade compost on the top and gave that a really good mixing in too, and that sort of brought the level up to the sort of floor level then. So then the next thing to do obviously was to replace the topsoil. So again, I emptied the buckets in, and actually, you won't believe this, but I actually used my hands, the palms of my hands, to break all the little clods of soil up, because if you see in the buckets there's just massive big clumps and there's no way of getting it any finer than to just meticulously go through every single clump, squashing it between my hands so it broke it up into finer bits. And again then what I did was to add another 3 inches of sharp sand to that proper topsoil, and then another big layer of my own compost, and then another big layer of some shop bought compost, just to give it a little bit more fresh nutrients. And then again just mixed it all together with my hands. Big labour of love, but and there we go. Took absolutely ages. I used to do this with all my beds when it was just initially sort of farmland, just to get rid of all the sods and then to improve the subsoil. And that's what double digging is all about. Really hard work, but if you put the effort in, you know, you do get a good bed at the end of it. So yeah, that's it folks. About four or 5 hours work just for one bed that's about 5 foot long by about 3 foot wide. So anyway, that's about it folks. Just sort of showing you how I did me bed. Absolutely throwing it down, so I won't be going outside. That's about it folks. See you later.